Ready to go?
Lovely lady.
Yes.
It's my great pleasure to introduce Mel this morning, who's going to give us a talk, and it has a lovely title. Many of you may know about Milarepa, who was a famous practitioner, and we have 100,000 songs from Milarepa, and many of them are quite fascinating and mysterious. And Mel, who's a very devoted and deep practitioner who really reflects and thinks and brings into her own life the Dharma that she comes across. And she's going to talk about Milarepa and the demon's mouth. And of course, in many ways, this is metaphoric, but a very strong metaphor. So really looking forward to it, Mel. She's got some wonderful books here. So over to you. Thank you.
The way of love is not a subtle argument. The door there is devastation. Birds make great sky circles of their freedom. How do they do this? They fall, and falling, they're given wings. So I'm going to tell a story today about Milarepa from one of his 100,000 songs. It's the first one in the book. And I'm not going to tell the complete story because it is quite long and there's a lot of symbolism in there and there's a lot of teachings. And we could spend like 2 weeks just looking at that one song. So I'm just going to give you a little snippet of that. And there are two versions of this that float around. There's the one that comes straight from the book, and there's one that's what it sounds like to me has been adapted to a more Western audience. So the story has been just like tweaked a little bit so it suits it makes sense to our mind kind of more easily. So I'm going to tell the traditional story, and then I'm going to talk about the demon's mouth. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to give you an example of how I use this in practice. I'm going to give you 2 examples of that. And then I'm going to guide you in a visualization to find your own demon. And then we'll take that into the discussions. Okay. How long do I have this?
Maybe 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to be quick. Get straight into the demon's mouth. So Milarepa is a Tibetan historical figure who's been mythologized. He is of the Kagyupa lineage, which is more kind of meditative focused lineage. So he's a yogi. He was a magician and he did some black magic, actually killed quite a lot of people. And he was like, okay, in this lifetime, if I have to do something about this and make up for it, because otherwise I'm really going to suffer the consequences of this. Went and found an amazing teacher, did a lot of like practice with that teacher, and that teacher then sends him off, go, okay, you're ready, go off into the mountains, find yourself a cave and meditate. Time to go. So this story is from that part of his life when he's in the cave. And one day he's run out of firewood and he's like, oh, I've been just practicing and I haven't like taken stock of what I've actually got. I've got nothing left here. So he goes out to collect firewood. Has a bit of a time of it, like actually really difficult to get firewood and come back, and you know, storms and all of these things that stop him. And then he gets back. And when he arrives back, he looks in his cave and there are these 5 demons, and they're like on his bed, talking, looking through his stuff, cooking in his kitchen. And he's like, oh no, I haven't made offerings to the local spirits. They must be mad at me, so they've sent their demons. He's like, okay, I'm gonna make offerings and pay my compliments to the local spirits here. So he sings this beautiful song, you know, like, oh, how wonderful it is here, the trees and the rocks and the rivers, and you know, I survive from them and they're really special and beautiful. It's like, okay, I offer you the nectar of my compassion, now be gone. So they look at him, they look at each other. They're joined by two of their mates. And they're like, no. Actually, can you see how scary I am? Like, do you see my claws and my teeth? I ain't going nowhere. So Milarepa's like, they're obstacles in my practice. They're trying to stop me. These like ferocious, angry demons. They're trying to stop me from reaching enlightenment. They're trying to stop me from sitting and meditating and doing the work that I should be doing here. Okay, I know how to get rid of them. I'm going to chant a wrathful, powerful mantra and scare them away. I'll show them, you know, I've got more power than them. So he chants this mantra, you know, and ma ho. They didn't even notice. Then he's like, has this wave of compassion that comes over him. It's like, they're suffering as well. They don't see the nature of reality. They don't really know. Okay, I'm going to teach them the Dharma. This should work. I'll get rid of them if I teach them the Dharma and they get it. Then they'll understand and they'll go. So he spends all this time teaching them the Dharma, you know, having long conversations with them about it. And they're listening, they're learning, but they don't leave. So none of his tactics has worked. And then one day he's sitting there thinking about it, and he remembers what his teacher taught him. And his teacher taught him that everything is a reflection of your own mind. So everything is a reflection of your own mind. And the nature of your own mind is of pure, luminous, empty awareness. So your own mind is this luminous, empty awareness, and everything is just a reflection of that. It's like, these demons are just that. They're just my mind, and my mind is so much bigger than that. So he sings another song, and I'm not going to read the whole song, but I'm just going to read the last little part of the song, and I'm going to read it from the new translation. The old translation is very poetic, but the language is a bit tricky, so this will just be easier. You band of ghosts, demons, and obstructing spirits here, how sublime it is that you've come at this time. Don't hurry. Relax and stay a while. Let's chat about everything under the sun. You're hurried. Oh, you can just stay one night. We'll compete in a contest of all our three gates, and we'll see the difference between virtue and non-virtue. I won't let you leave until you've made some obstacles. If you should go back without making obstacles, how ashamed and embarrassed to have come here you'll be. And he wasn't having a go at them. He actually meant that. Like, he wholeheartedly meant, stay, like, come, do your thing. Like, let's chat. You're really, really welcome here. I don't want you to leave. I'm absolutely okay with sharing a place with you. And when he does that, after he sings that song, and that has that shift, you know, that shift of like, it's no problem to begin with. What the hell was I thinking? He runs at them with like this new faith and confidence, and they dissolve. And they combine into one, and then with a gust of wind, they all disappear. So that's the traditional story which can be a little bit confusing because of some of the imagery in that. So I'm going to tell the ending of that is different. So I think it comes from Pema Chodron in this book. That's where all my research has led me to this example of this story. So her version is he teaches them the Dharma, yep, as usual, they don't go. He yells at them, gets angry, they won't leave. And then he falls in a heap and he's like, I give up. I can't get rid of these demons. And when he finally gives up and can't find any way to do it, so he's just going to let it be, they dissolve and they're gone. And then he walks back into the cave and he sees one big, like the scariest, like most ferocious demon, like ruling big demon, mouth agape, staring at him. And he's like, oh, there's one left. And it's the scariest one of all. And he walks up to it and puts his head in the mouth of the demon. And that demon dissolves, vanishes. And those two stories are making the same point, but in a different way. Yeah. So I'll just give you a little bit of an interpretation of it. So yeah, we figured out demons are the core stuff, like when you're sitting in meditation, it's that like, oh, there's the strong energies. Or like they're the exiled parts of ourselves. They're the parts of ourselves we don't, like, this is not who I should be. This is not Buddhist. It's that like, I don't want to be that angry, upset, blah, blah, whatever it is. The demons are those parts of us. And at the start, Milarepa was willfully trying to get rid of his demons by, telling them to get lost, by trying to be nice to them, by teaching the Dharma, but that was all in this willful way of, I want to get rid of you. And it's not until, and the part that I love is when 5 demons turn to 7. So sometimes when we're resisting our demons, when like we're trying to get rid of it and we're resisting, it's like we have the suffering, the primary suffering, the first arrow. And then as we try to get rid of it and resist it, we get all of these extra suffering and all these extra demons. So that's a little teaching on first arrow, second arrow, if that means something to you. Yeah. And he realizes the true nature of things. He has that moment of freedom, the shackles come off. And then it doesn't matter if they stay or go, because they're empty anyways. So it's not like he's saying stay because I want you to stay. It's because it doesn't matter when you realize the nature of things. There's no need to try to get rid of things or want them to stay. Okay. So before I give you the examples from my life, is there any of that doesn't make sense? Just to quickly, anything that really needs to be clarified first? Okay, great. I'm going to give you 2 examples. The first one is short and sweet. I was on a solitary retreat. It was just after Sangharakshita died. And I forgot to bring my phone charger. So my phone was out of juice. I was out somewhere remote. I was like halfway through it. It might have been 10 days or something. And one night I woke up from a dream just at the point as I was being killed and just in a panic. So I calmed myself down and went back to sleep and then woke up quite soon afterwards from a dream where I was just about to be killed. And that happened about 4 or 5 times. And it was all in these, like, walking down an alley, people chasing me, and then they get me, and like I'm on the ground and they're about to kill me, and I wake up. It's just like that again and again and again. And then I wake up after the 4th or 5th time, and I'm like, okay, I don't want that to happen again. I'm not going to dream of myself being killed again. And then I dream that I am trying to save someone from being killed, and someone's about to get them, and I almost save them, and they get killed, or they're just about to get killed, and I wake up. And then that happens like for most of the night, and it gets to a point I'm like, I'm just not going to go back to sleep. I don't feel like I can stop that from happening. So I stayed up and meditated. And in my meditation, it just happened that I was like, oh, I just need to let them kill me. So in that meditation, I just surrendered to that. Like, okay, kill me, that's fine. And then something changed. It was like, oh. And I went back to sleep and I was fine. So that's my first example, which was like, that was quite simple. And that was like, just in one night, done. This next one has been years, and I still haven't resolved it. Okay. So this one I've been working on for about 2 years or so, and not resolved. And it kind of started after the death of George Floyd. And that's when I started reflecting on my own racialized experience. And actually, for the first time, felt like people around me were willing to listen. So it was like, oh, something's changing in this space. And I found people to talk to. I found like people, color groups, affinity groups, where I could actually talk about my experience and not have someone say, or not feel like people are saying, it's your shit, Mel, there's nothing wrong, which is sort of what it has been my whole life. So in that process, I decided at a point that I would speak up and call out or call in. The times where situations were not culturally safe for me. And for me, right? I'm not like saying, I'm not speaking on behalf of other people of color, I'm just speaking for myself. And a lot of times that's been in situations here at the Buddha Center, you know, with very well-minded, kind people, but not necessarily culturally safe. So I had this energy, this part of me come up that was like, yes, call that out, speak up about this, make some change. And then as I worked with this over the last kind of 2 years, and kind of more recently as I've started speaking up more, found that there were actually two things going on. There's this hard, like burnt orange, it almost like looks and feels like a golf ball in my throat. And that has more of a feeling of like the determination and strength and the rising. And down in my belly, it's deep blue, like you can kind of see through it. It's more liquid. The viscosity is a bit thicker than water, but it's more liquid. And it's one of fear. It's oh, I can't, that's too dangerous, I can't. So I've got these, you know, and in a way, like these two energies are like parts of me. They're like the demons that I work with. So as I sit with that and bring kindness to that, because that's where we always start, and give that space, allow it to stay, welcome it. It transformed this. So my demon, this became Has everyone watched Monsters Inc? So it's Boo, the little girl in a monster's outfit, holding like a little teddy bear or a little Sully or something. So she's like, it's actually like a little kid in a monster's outfit. And my demon became this little girl who's scared and scary. So she's scary because of her vulnerability. And that is really uncomfortable. It's like I feel much more comfort in, you know, getting out my sword and armor and slaying, you know, monsters than I do sitting with this little girl. That's hard work. And her words are, I don't matter. Do I have a right to exist? And that's not complete, because I don't think these things are quick. And, you know, we welcome and let them stay, but there's also, we don't bypass this work and go straight into the luminous, pure awareness and be like, none of this stuff matters. Like, because that will still play out in some kind of way if you push that away and just do that. Like, the demons will come in other ways. So the work is to stay with that. You know, and I think about the stories like Milarepa. He practiced for years and years and years, for years in lots of hardship before he got to where he got to. The Buddha, years and years of years, and right, he's the Buddha, years and years of like aesthetic, hard practice before he got enlightened. These things aren't like a do it, done, go. It's okay. It's not a failure that it's still here. It's actually, that is the work, is to stay with it. Yeah. Okay, so that's my story. And there's my demons. Which in some ways are quite cute. So they're not always what you think. Okay, so we've got a couple of minutes, and I'm going to offer a guided practice for you to explore what your demon is. So not everyone is a visual person. So if you don't have a visual sense of this, it's fine. You can have felt senses, you can have words, you can, however it comes to you is okay. And if you don't get something, that's okay as well. And I'm giving quite general instructions. So it's not going to be individualized and tailored for you. So you are responsible for making this work for you. You don't have to listen to me at all. You can do what you want. And my little tip is to always look for where you feel it in your body. If you don't get anything other than it feels like there's something here in my body, that's enough. Okay, so we'll just drop into a bit of mindfulness, coming into the inner landscape. Maybe you notice your breath, and that settles you, helping more of you to arrive in this moment. I'm going to ask you now to bring to mind a problem in your life. It might be something small. It might be the deepest, biggest thing that you're working on. It might have words, it might not. It might be a feeling or an emotion. It might be a situation or a thing or a person. So just welcome that into your experience. Whatever your difficulty is. It might be pain, physical pain. Now, can you locate where in your body this problem is felt? Where does it reside in your body? Maybe it's tightness in your throat. It could be tension in your hands, churning in your stomach, something in your chest. So just stay with that. Notice where you feel it and stay with it. Breathe into it. Let your awareness go to what else you notice. What else you're noticing. And just stay with it. Linger there. Let it be. And what do you notice as you stay with it? Include that in your awareness. If there's a sensation in your body, there's something that's wanting your attention, allow yourself to give that sensation attention. And if there isn't, stay where you are. So we'll start by, if that sensation, the sensation that you're with now, and if you don't have one, just find the strongest thing in your body, that strongest discomfort. That sensation, if it had a color, noting to yourself what color that would be. And there's no right or wrong answers here. And if it was a shape, what shape would it be? Is it big or small? Is it a solid, a liquid, or a gas, or something in between. Is there a temperature? Is it hot or cold? And what's the texture? Is it matte or smooth and shiny, or spiky, or soft or hard? Now, if a particular image comes to you, welcome that. Here's an opportunity that if it starts to take shape, personifies into something, allow your mind to go there. And where does this object live? Does it have an environment? What does its surrounds look like? Is it in a dark place or somewhere bright where there's light? Is it small where it is, or is it big? Is there anything in the room with it? If it could say something, what would it say? Or what sounds would it make? If it could act, if it had an action, what would it do? What's its job? So we'd say hello to whatever form this demon takes. And we find a way to say goodbye, maybe a see you later. Whatever feels right for you, to honor it. And when you're ready, coming back into noticing your own body, your breath, the noises in the room. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So we have questions for discussion groups. Is that what happened? Yeah. So my offer is that you share your demons with each other or what came up for you if it wasn't a personified sort of monster thing. Share what it said, what it does, where it lives, where you feel it in your body, if that's what you got. And I invite you to name your demon and help each other give names to it. And talk about, how do you normally respond to it? What do you usually do when this demon comes up? And how can you welcome the demon now? How can you change that? How can you welcome it and see its true nature more? See this like, oh, there's something so much bigger. It's not as solid as I usually think it is.